Every morning, I see the same view from my window, white houses lining the maple tree avenue. Among them, Helen's garden next door is particularly beautiful. Seasonal flowers bloom continuously, and on weekends, neighbors often stop to admire it. My family moved to this quiet residential area in Greenwich, Connecticut, 8 years ago. I had just started working at an investment bank in Manhattan then, spending my days completely immersed in work. That's when I met Michael, who would change my life completely. We met at a charity event at St. Mary's Church. I was in charge of fundraising, and Michael was representing the church's young members. His serious and sincere demeanor, along with that occasionally mischievous smile, quickly captured my heart. 2 years after our marriage, our son Noah was born. The moment his tiny hand gripped my finger, I knew I would do anything for this child. Even after returning from maternity leave, Michael remained actively involved in childcare. Working for an IT company with frequent work-from-home options, he could spend time with our son even on weekdays. Our lives changed dramatically 3 years ago when Michael's mother, Martha, moved in with us. After Michael's father passed away, she said she felt uneasy living alone. As a former pediatrician, her offer to look after Noah seemed like a godsend for us working parents. On the surface, it appeared to be the perfect family arrangement. At PTA meetings, Martha was known as an exemplary grandmother. Even when my work got busy, she handled everything perfectly, from picking up Noah from school to accompanying him to his activities. But when did it start? When did our son begin to change? He started crying in the middle of the night, clinging to my arms saying he'd had scary dreams. His grades gradually declined. His teacher started reporting that he often seemed sleepy during class. Each time, I blamed myself. I thought it was because I was too caught up with work and spending less time with him. I had to go to the office more frequently for sudden meetings on weekends, reducing our family time. Michael was also busy launching a new project and couldn't spend as much time playing with our son as before. But it's okay, we have Martha, I would tell myself as I boarded the Metro North train every morning, Starbucks coffee in hand. On the Greenwich station platform, I would chat with other commuting mothers, sometimes feeling their envious glances. "You're so lucky, Amy. A wonderful husband and such a caring mother-in-law. You don't have to struggle with daycare like we do." Whenever I heard such comments, I felt both guilty and somewhat proud. But at the same time, the anxiety lurking in the depths of my heart grew day by day. My morning routine is always the same. The alarm goes off at 6:30, I take a shower and do my makeup. By 7, I'm in the kitchen turning on the coffee maker. As the rich coffee aroma begins to fill the room, I hear Noah stirring upstairs. One morning, while making coffee by the kitchen window as usual, I noticed a figure in the neighboring garden. Helen, wearing her white gardening hat, was tending to her spring flowers. Her gardening skills are so impressive that people from the neighborhood come to photograph her garden on weekends. She sometimes teaches me tips about flower care too. That day, Helen seemed different. Her hands were unsteady as she tended to the flowers. Suddenly, she turned toward me and took out her smartphone. The lens was pointed at my house. At first, I thought she was just taking pictures of the garden. But no. She was clearly photographing my house, particularly focusing on the second-floor windows. When I waved at her, finding it suspicious, she quickly averted her gaze and disappeared into her house. The same thing happened every morning after that. Just past 7, when I was making coffee in the kitchen, Helen would invariably appear. And without fail, she would take pictures of my house. When I called out to her, she would just leave silently. My anxiety grew steadily. Why did she keep photographing my house? Why was she so fixated on the second-floor windows, especially around Noah's room? One day, I finally decided to go to the police. But they wouldn't take action, saying, unless there's concrete harm. True, Helen never left her property or showed any threatening behavior. She just took photos every morning. She's probably just getting ideas for her own garden design, the police officer said. But I didn't think so. There was something urgent, something unspoken in Helen's eyes. When I talked to Michael about it, he wasn't particularly concerned, saying, "Helen's fine. She's lived in this area for over 20 years. True, Helen was active in church activities and had a good reputation. But her behavior over the past 6 months was clearly not normal." And then, that day came. Early morning, as usual. As I stood in the kitchen, Helen appeared in the garden and, unusually, walked up to our gate. She held her smartphone as always, but this time, she didn't point the lens at me. "Amy." She called out to me in a trembling voice. Gone was her usual calm expression, replaced by one full of anguish. "The photos, why do you keep taking them?" I opened the door and walked to the gate. We faced each other on the misty sidewalk. "Look, your son." She held out her smartphone. On the screen was, my son, Noah. But with an expression I didn't recognize. My blood ran cold as I stared at the screen, Helen's hands trembling as she scrolled through it. New photos appeared one after another, all showing sides of my son I had never seen. The horrifying truth unfolded before my eyes. The photos were arranged chronologically, documenting my son's gradual loss of vitality. They showed the process of his smile fading away. I've been concerned for 6 months, but I had no proof. Helen's voice seemed distant as my mind went blank. The expressions on my son's face in the photos, the bruises on his body, and the shadow of someone next to him. The next moment, I snapped back to reality. I returned the smartphone to Helen and rushed inside. At the entrance, without even putting on shoes, I grabbed my car keys. "I'm going to the police. Will you come with me?" My voice was shaking. Helen nodded silently and got into the passenger seat. I gripped the steering wheel, trying to control my trembling body. In my mind, my son's smiling face overlapped with the dark expression from the photos. As I turned at the intersection, I looked in the rearview mirror at my house. Behind that pristine white exterior, my son was still suffering. This reality felt like it would tear my heart apart. But now, I had to get to the police as quickly as possible. Our car sped through the quiet morning streets. The maple trees passed by like shadows. Helen sat silently in the passenger seat, still clutching her smartphone that held the truth I hadn't known, her hands trembling. After arriving at the police station, my sense of time became hazy. A uniformed officer led us to a small interview room, and a detective specializing in child abuse was called. The female detective who arrived examined Helen's photographic evidence one by one with a kind yet composed demeanor. "When did you start taking these photos?" "6 months ago," Helen's voice trembled. "At first, I thought I was imagining things. But..." She took out her smartphone and opened an organized photo folder. The photos, arranged by date, documented my son's daily life that I hadn't known about. March photos. Noah standing alone in the garden, winter's chills still lingering. Before 7 in the morning, while it was still dim. He's wearing his uniform, but his back is slightly hunched. The next photo shows Martha behind him, appearing to be lecturing him. Noah's shoulders seem to be trembling slightly. By April, the changes became more pronounced. "This is when the food restrictions seem to begin," Helen explained. The photos showed Noah sitting alone on the garden bench during lunch, holding just an apple. "You're eating too many sweets for snacks, no dinner until you finish your homework." The conversations captured by the security camera were laid out before the detective. "Your security cameras have quite good quality, Helen," the detective remarked. "My husband used to work for a security equipment company." Helen's voice trailed off. "After he passed away, the equipment remained. I never thought I'd use it like this." May. As spring weather invited children from the neighborhood to play outside, Noah was nowhere to be seen. "If you have time to play outside, you should be studying. You can play with friends after you get good grades on your tests. You're just a child who makes your mother and father sad." In the recorded conversations, Martha's voice grew increasingly cold. "This audio. I installed recording devices in addition to security cameras," Helen said apologetically. "I thought we needed definitive evidence." By June, physical changes became noticeable. He had clearly lost weight and had dark circles under his eyes. He started visiting the nurse's office more frequently during breaks, but it was always complaining of sleepiness. He was being made to study at night, Helen explained, pointing to July's records. "Until late. From my bedroom window, I could see the light in Noah's room. Always until 1 or 2 in the morning. Then August. With summer vacation, the situation rapidly deteriorated." "This is..." The detective drew in a sharp breath. The photos showed bruise marks on his arms. Scratch marks on his back. All in places hidden by clothing. Evidence of calculated, methodical abuse. "I fell during sports day practice. I was playing rough with friends. I scratched myself." In the recorded conversations, Martha was teaching Noah excuses to make. Why didn't I notice?" As my voice choked up, the interrogation room door opened. Michael burst in. "Amy. I got a call from the police." His voice trailed off as he saw the photos on the screen. Why would Mother?" Michael's voice shook. "We didn't notice." "Unforgivable. This is absolutely unforgivable." The sound of him hitting the desk echoed in the small room. The detective quietly continued recording. Photos from September showed more insidious forms of abuse. "Your mother and father don't really love you. They would have been happier without you. Even if you tell someone, no one will believe you. Confinement in the closet late at night. Discipline by withholding meals. Conversations showing escalating psychological control. We need to protect Noah, the detective's voice was calm. With this much evidence, an emergency protection order will certainly be issued. And at that moment, my phone rang. It was Martha. Amy. Noah wasn't feeling well today, so I had him leave school early. Martha's voice on the phone was unchanged. Gentle and full of consideration. But now we knew the cunning that lurked beneath it. We'll head to the scene immediately, the detective stood up. Ma'am, sir, could you please wait here? But as I started to protest, the detective cut me off with a gentle but firm expression. I understand how you feel. But we must avoid any escalation. Please leave this to the professionals now. Outside the window, police sirens began to wail. Michael and I held each other's trembling hands tightly. In my heart, words of apology to our son overflowed. Why hadn't we noticed? Living together every day, how had we overlooked this? Had we failed as parents? Unanswerable questions weighed heavy in the room's air. The clock hands seemed to move abnormally slowly. A week after Martha's arrest, we left our son with my parents and had multiple meetings with specialists. In the waiting room of Greenwich General Hospital's Child Psychiatry Department. Through the window, I could see maple trees swaying. Michael's hand gripped mine tightly. I'll introduce you to a trauma care specialist. Dr. Sonia Watson, a middle-aged female doctor in a white coat, smiled kindly. Children's drawings decorated the walls, and soft carpet covered the floor. In this room, our long journey to recovery would begin. First, let's talk about your feelings of guilt. Dr. Watson's voice was gentle. There are no perfect parents. Especially in modern society with dual-income households. What's important is how you act when you notice something. You both took appropriate action immediately. I shook my head while wiping away tears. But we should have noticed sooner. Living together every day. Amy, Michael embraced my shoulders. I feel the same way. And to think it was my own mother. His voice choked up. When the abuser is someone very close, detection becomes particularly difficult, Dr. Watson continued. Especially in cases like Martha, who was intelligent and highly respected socially. Even many professionals would have had difficulty detecting it. Therapy would be for the whole family. Individual counseling plus weekly family therapy. And most importantly, preparation for reuniting with our son. Reunion with Noah needs to be approached carefully. Jennifer Morris, the child psychology counselor, explained the reunion program. A child's heart is more delicate than adults imagine. Especially betrayal by family members who should be most trusted creates deep emotional wounds. The day of reunion. We waited for our son in the hospital's special room. The walls had bright wallpaper, and toys were placed around. My heart was racing. The door opened, and Noah entered. His thin body, his downcast expression. But when he saw us, his eyes lit up slightly. Mom. Dad. His voice trembled. We desperately suppressed the urge to rush over and embrace him. Following Ms. Morris's guidance, we approached slowly. "Noah, we missed you." Michael's voice shook. "Was I a bad child?" Noah asked in a small voice. "No," I answered immediately. "You did nothing wrong. It was all Mom and Dad's fault." We embraced him. His warm, small body. I could tell he was thin. But I could feel his steady heartbeat. "Will Grandma not come anymore?" "No, she won't," Michael answered. "We'll never let anyone hurt Noah again." From that day, a new life began. Michael increased his work-from-home days, and I adjusted my working hours. The St. Mary's Church community also warmly supported us. Raising children isn't meant to be done alone. After Sunday service, Reverend Margaret spoke to us. In the church support group, we met families with similar experiences. Their words resonated deeply. There's no such thing as a perfect family. What's important is the willingness to understand each other. Take it one step at a time. Light will surely come. Greenwich Academy also fully cooperated. Regular meetings with the school counselor. Careful observation by his homeroom teacher. Gradually, changes began to appear in Noah's school life. "Teacher, I solved the math problem." A proud voice we hadn't heard in a long time. When I picked up Noah after school, I started seeing him playing with friends. The hesitant smile from before was gradually returning. On weekends, we treasured family time. Picnics in the park. Watching movies. Sometimes just relaxing together on the sofa. "Hey, Mom." One day, Noah asked me. "What is it?" "I want to become a doctor when I grow up." Surprised by these unexpected words, I caught my breath. "But not like Grandma." "I want to be a doctor who really helps people in trouble." Fighting back tears, I nodded. "You can do it. Mom and Dad will always support you." Michael also changed gradually. While his anger and disappointment towards his mother haven't disappeared, he's learned to channel them constructively. He began participating in child abuse prevention activities and sharing his experience. If our failure to notice can help someone else. My husband's face showed more strength than before when he spoke these words. Our relationship with Helen also deepened. Her courageous action had saved our family. "If I had children, I'm sure I would have been just as desperate as you were." One day, while doing garden work, Helen said softly. "But you did more for him than his real grandmother ever did." I responded with heartfelt gratitude. The road to recovery has only just begun. Sometimes, Noah still wakes up from nightmares in the middle of the night. Michael and I still struggle with feelings of guilt. But we're definitely moving forward. Our family bonds, though wounded, have grown stronger. A year has passed since then. At the Connecticut Supreme Court. In the solemn courtroom, Martha's sentence was pronounced. 7 years in prison. No chance of parole. Martha showed no signs of remorse until the end. I was doing the right thing. I was just trying to raise a perfect grandson. As I listened to those words, I stared into her eyes. There was something like conviction rather than madness in her eyes. The psychiatric evaluation revealed severe obsessive-compulsive personality disorder and an abnormal expansion of her desire for control. As we left the courthouse, Michael squeezed my hand tightly. "It's over now." "Yes, finally. But the real ending is still far ahead." Rather, this was a new beginning. On Greenwich Academy's playground, Noah plays with his friends as cherry blossoms flutter in the air. He no longer shows that timid behavior from before. His occasional laughter carries on the spring breeze. "Amy, look at this." Mr. Jones, his homeroom teacher, showed me Noah's latest test. Perfect score in math. Moreover, all the calculation steps were properly written out. What's most wonderful is his attitude toward helping friends. When he sees someone struggling, he reaches out on his own. Weekend at St. Mary's Church. Today is a special day. A lecture on child abuse prevention. Michael stands at the podium. Abuse doesn't always appear in obvious forms, especially when the perpetrator is someone who should be most trusted. The audience includes people with various expressions. Young couples raising children, educators, and newly assigned child welfare staff. After the lecture, a woman approached us. "I had a similar experience." A trembling voice, but with strong eyes. Hearing today's talk gave me courage. From that day on, the circle of support grew even wider. Monthly self-help group meetings, online counseling, and a community-wide watchdog network. Helen's garden remains beautiful as ever. But now, there's a new flower added. Noah chose it, she told me happily. White lilies, called the flowers of hope. The pure white petals shine in the morning sun. The inside of our house has also changed gradually. New posters hang in Noah's room. A drawing of his future dream. He wants to become a doctor and help people in need. Next to it, a family photo. This time, taken with genuine smiles. Thursday nights. Family counseling time. Dr. Watson warmly watches over our changes. Recovery from trauma is never a straight line. The doctor's words sink deep into our hearts. But your family has the power to understand and support each other. Noah's essay was posted on the school bulletin board. My dream. I want to become a doctor and help people in trouble. Especially, I want to hear the voices of those who can't speak up. Because I couldn't speak up either. But now it's different. Dad and Mom, and many others, heard my voice. So I want to become someone who can hear others' voices too. When we read that essay, Michael and I hugged each other silently. The tears were no longer for sadness. A new morning. Making coffee in the kitchen as usual. Outside the window, maple buds sway in the wind. From upstairs, I hear Noah getting ready. Mom, can we stop by the park today too? Of course. My son's voice shows no hesitation. No fear or trembling like before. Michael comes down the stairs. He's up earlier than usual. Today, he has a lecture at the Child Abuse Prevention Center. I'm heading out. Take care. Before leaving the entrance, we look at each other. There's an unspoken understanding between us. Next door, Helen begins tending her garden. Today too, her camera captures the garden flowers. No anxious shadows appear in them anymore. Good morning, Amy. Good morning, Helen. The morning sun illuminates the quiet residential street. Everything up until yesterday certainly exists within us. But now it has transformed into strength. That we can stand up even when wounded. That we can speak up. And above all, that we can love each other. These lessons came from our neighbor's small but certain courage, who kept taking pictures of my house every morning.